So my EPQ topic I chose to do it on was looking at to what extent is gender inequality in Formula One occurring. So my project overview, I just wanted to look at to what extent gender inequality is occurring in Formula One, and I'd say most people's point of view during the fans of the sport and outsiders as well is that it's a very male dominated sport at the moment, with there being no female Formula One drivers on the grid at the moment, and there not being any for a long time. Also, behind the scenes, it's very male dominated with how they set the sport up and stuff like that. I chose this topic because I'm interested in the sport itself and I watch it regularly, and I was also intrigued in why there are no female drivers currently on the grid and competing at the moment. So I was intrigued in looking more in depth in that, and also comparing it to maybe why Formula One stands out as being a very male dominated sport compared to other sports. So for my first section in my oral write-up project, I was looking at why there are no female Formula One drivers in the sport currently. I thought this is a good section to start off with, because I need to understand I would like people and myself to understand the background of Formula One itself, and the female Formula One drivers in the past, and if there ever has been any, to give me a good benchmark in looking at what I can talk about and stuff like that. So during my findings, I found that there had been female Formula One drivers in the past. For example, in 1975, there was a female called Lena Lombriardi, and she was the first ever female Formula One driver in history, and the only ever female Formula One driver to score a half a point in the Italian Grand Prix in 1975. And I thought that was quite interesting because it shows that females can be a part of the sport itself and can compete, which shows that there is a possibility of females being in the sport as a part of the sport. I also found, due to the car's development over the years, as they've been getting faster, they've been creating more G-force when turning around corners, which is like the force pushed against your neck and your body and stuff like that when going around corners and accelerating. I found that one possibility of why females aren't a part of the sport is due to their physical build. Maybe their body cannot cope with the stress of these G's that they're having to pull, so they may not be able to physically endure the capabilities of driving these cars. Also, I found that it's up to the Formula One teams as well. Formula One is like the elite of motorsport, so they've got to find the best drivers in the world for them to compete against each other. So therefore, it may be just an occurrence that there currently are no female drivers that are better than males. So therefore, there's no point Formula One teams employing female drivers, because then it wouldn't be the best of the best in the elite series that it's known for. I also looked at gender pay gap in Formula One, I wanted to look at like not just the driving side of it, but driving side of the company, but as the company as a whole, so like the business side behind Formula One and their employment there. I found that there was a large gender pay gap in these roles, and that also males dominate the employment areas of these, like behind the scenes, so like in business and finance of the company, that males dominate this area, and there also is a pay gap as well in this area. To conclude this section, the females are getting paid less than males doing the same roles. When writing about this, I found a wide variety of sources collecting facts and figures. However, at some points I did find it like I struggled to write different points of views about this and like the gender pay that was occurring. I found it hard to like find facts and figures due to it being kind of like a closed area that maybe Formula One don't want to present, kind of. I thought a good follow-up from this is what Formula One is doing to change and like to help reduce this gender pay gap that is occurring. I chose this topic to like follow up from my previous section on how it's supposed to be improving. I found that since like the takeover from Chase Carey, that this project has rapidly grown and decreasing this inequality, with them coming up with new project ideas into attracting women to the business side of the sport. So there's like new advertisement that they brought up. They also found that they're kind of trying to equally decide who they want to employ between males and females, like taking a 50-50 split on new upcoming employees and recruitment. I think to conclude this, it is trying to F1 is seeing what needs to change now since 2018 and Chase Carey's takeover, and they're trying to figure out how this sport can fit in with the social norms of today. So I feel that many other people may agree that Formula One's a bit left in the past and it's not changed recently. My next section was to do with ideas that motorsport has influenced, ideas that motorsport influencers themselves have had on improving this sport, and also like this expressing this this factor that needs improving. I wanted to see if what they were doing and what they were saying was having a positive impact on this matter. Formula One, I found that Karun Chandok, which is who is a Formula One presenter currently, but has raced in the sport in the past, and also been a GP2 winner as well. He thought that if Formula One wanted to achieve its full potential, then it needed to appeal to a wider audience. So this could include attracting more women to view the sport, but also participate in the sport itself. However, our current W Series racer and champion Jamie Chadwick expressed her views on it as being that through her own experience, that she didn't think female drivers coming up through the ranks, she didn't feel intimidated when racing against a largely male dominated sport, and she didn't let that stop her. She always saw it as a positive, being one of like very few females taking part. I think as a conclusion, the sport or the fans can use these influencers and their views in getting across to the Formula One company themselves into changing this gender inequality. So my next topic was what we're doing to reduce gender inequality in motorsport. This is what I thought, like what we're doing to try and involve more women in the sport itself. So I found that recently in 2018 they created this new racing series called the W Series. This is a new single-seater racing championship which is only for women to take part in. As a result, it allows more females to get involved in the sport and also have a target for younger females coming up through the ranks to aim for. It also provides super license points going into F1, so like if females account for enough of these points then they can get into F1 itself. It's not just limited to this being the like penultimate series and like the elite series for women. They can still get into F1 by racing in this, and it's like an incentive for more females to get involved in the sport. It shows that females are becoming like there is a possibility of females in recent years to come to get into the Formula One sport, with Jamie Chadwick, the current W Series champion for the first season, just recently gone. However, when my research for this, I found that there hasn't been much coverage on the. I found it hard to find facts and figures about this sport because it's not. It's only just come into light and being created. My next topic was looking at grid girls and their removal. I wanted to look at their roles and why they were removed from the sport. And it also shows the measures that F1 is taking to fit into today's social norms of gender being equal between males and females. I found that grid girls were removed in all 2018 around and 2017 around Chase Carey's takeover process of the sport itself and the company, and also found that it's like due to this removal it's trying to attract more women to compete in the sport, as females can or young women don't see themselves as only being able to be the supporting role and not being able to take part in the sport. In conclusion for this section, I thought that it was a good thing, the removal of grid girls. How it has changed the sport, even though it's changed the sport's long history of them being involved. However, I thought when writing this section, there was many people's different opinions, so I found it hard to differ which ones I should use and I shouldn't use, because at the end of the day it's their own opinion and it's hard to evaluate those. In conclusion, I found some points in my heart or some points of my write-up hard to evaluate, and not to also repeat previous points that I've already made, as it's hard to elaborate on what to talk about and also the points that I'm trying to get across. Overall, my project did go to plan. I stuck to the individual topics that I'd researched during my planning stage and also went into detail of them. I'm interested in the sport itself, so I found that I didn't get bored easily, and I found it very interesting throughout the topic. So I had good momentum sticking to keep on researching and writing about it. Issues I had when researching was trying to stick to using reliable sources, so like sticking to the Formula One website itself, and also reliable news sources. And also when I wanted to, throughout the write-up, I wanted to create a balanced argument to make sure that it wasn't just biased of my opinion, and that I could clearly show the difference between why things are occurring and why they might not be occurring to improve the gender inequality. What I learned from doing this EPQ project was that creating the project was how large the inequality actually was for female workers in the company, and how they could be affected, and things like that. So I was surprised when researching how large the gender inequality actually was, because I didn't really have an insight on the business side and background of the sport itself. And yeah, that's it. Does anyone have any questions?
Why do you think gender inequality is occurring?
I think gender inequality is occurring in F1 specifically because males have just got that physique that females don't have to just take part in the role of driving and competing. However, I think in years to come that might change with the introduction of these new programs that have been put in place.
Do you think people are educated enough on gender inequality?
I don't think people are educated enough, like in lower school years and stuff like that. I feel like people need to be educated more, because then it gives them an understanding of why gender inequality might be occurring, but also that they shouldn't give up on anything, even if gender inequality is clearly seen in a sport or a job or anything, that they still can't go for those goals that they want to achieve.
Are there any examples of what F1 are doing to change?
Yeah, there's a few examples. Since the takeover of Chase Carey, they've introduced this program called STEM, where it's involved in primary schools, secondary schools, and all those schools that where they focus on key subjects that are that will be useful in developing F1 mechanics, or just getting involved in the sport itself. So then it creates an interest for younger people to also get involved in the sport and learn about the sport, any gender that is, or anything like that.
Why do you think there's been a sudden change in Formula One, and how the view of gender inequality is in a positive way?
I think since Chase Carey's takeover of CEO of the sport in 2018, 2017, around that time, there has been a large change in how gender inequality has been viewed, and that actions are taken to change this. Because I think previously, the previous owner, Bernie Ecclestone, wanted to stick to the history of the sport, and not really change much. Whereas since Chase Carey's takeover, I think he wants to fit into today's society in order to attract new people. So therefore, he's putting these things in place to also create a bigger name for the sport, create a bigger audience, and also create a bigger income for the sport itself.